Hey everyone, Inspector Rayo here, and today we're getting into episode 2 of the Tyrian Lightbringer. Welcome to episode 2 guys. We've made quite a bit of progress since last time. We are currently on our way to level 80, completed almost 40% of Tyrian map completion, and we've been delving into the history of Destiny's Edge and helping them overcome their grievances. With great success also comes great tragedy. While we've been learning about the reasons behind the disband of Destiny's Edge, we've also been taking steps in building our own story, climbing the ranks of the Order of Whispers, and on this journey we've met our good friend, our mentor, Tybalt Leftpaw. A very joyous apple seller with a vast background in engineering, just like us. With the attack on Claw Island, he sacrificed himself to hold off the Risen so Charr, the Lion Guard, and myself could then escape, regroup, and push the fight back against Zhaitan's champion, Blightghast, the Plaguebringer. With Charr leading the forces of the Vigil, Priory, and the Order of Whispers, we were able to come together to overcome Zhaitan's champion, resulting in Charr becoming Marshal of what is now called the Pact, and I, the Commander. Though in memory of Tybalt, we shall remain the Lightbringer of Tyria in his stead. The journey has been arduous so far, but it has been fruitful, and we're coming up on one of our first goals of Season 1, which is hitting level 80. What I've been doing up to this point has simply just been map completion, gathering nodes, completing story missions every 10 levels, as well as soloing the story modes of every core dungeon. At this point, we've done Ascalonian Catacombs, Caudigus Manor, Twilight Arbor, Sorrow's Embrace, and the Citadel of Flame. And with us being close to the final few levels to reach level 80, we'll soon be taking on Honor of the Waves and Crucible of Eternity. Arra will of course be last on the list, as this is where Destiny's Edge, Charr, and myself will take on the fight to Zhaitan and complete the Tyrian journey, allowing us to delve into our next big challenge, taking on Mordremoth. I've discussed this a few times throughout my streams, but with Season 1 being story focused, hitting level 80, and just unlocking everything mount wise, there's one fine detail that I don't believe I mentioned in my previous video, which is that I will not be using the elite specializations of my class until I reach the expansion that originally made them available. As I'm doing the story in order, I will be hitting Tyria, Living World Season 2, Heart of Thorns, Season 3, Path of Fire, Season 4, and finally the Icebrood Saga. Throughout Tyria and Season 2, I am not allowed to use Scrapper. Once I finally hit Heart of Thorns though, I'll be able to start farming up hero points and start training Scrapper for both Heart of Thorns and Season 3. As well with Hollowsmith, I will not be able to start training Hollowsmith until I hit Path of Fire. As I've done some Tyrian map completion though, I will be using any previous hero points towards Scrapper once I hit Heart of Thorns. As well with Hollowsmith, any leftover points from Heart of Thorns will roll over into that elite specialization. This isn't a huge limitation, but this is basically how I handled my main account as these expansions released. I had full map completion prior to Heart of Thorns, which basically fully unlocked Daredevil for me when Heart of Thorns dropped. It's not a huge limitation, but this is basically how I handled my main account as these expansions release. I had full map completion prior to Heart of Thorns, which basically fully unlocked Daredevil for me when Heart of Thorns dropped, as well as when they reduced the total amount of hero points required for completely training your elite specializations. The goal behind this limitation is to experience the game as close as possible to when these features were originally released. Am I able to boost my character to level 80 and get him out? Yes, but I won't do that as it will trivialize this whole experience for me. Part of the joy of this series, and Guild Wars 2 in general in my opinion, comes from working around your limitations. And I can tell you, I've learned an immense amount about Engineer so far just through this leveling experience, which is a class I've never delved into much prior to this. I've also relearned things in core Tyria that I've either completely forgotten about or have taken for granted due to my experience over the years on my main account. Things like how difficult Tyria can be to traverse without mounts, and then gliding to save you from your falling damage, and that Engineer Rifle 5 and Rocket Boots, or Booty Blasters as I like to call them, can help you land some very difficult jumps. So far this experience has been absolutely incredible. Slowing things down really takes me back to my roots of when I first picked up Guild Wars 2, and taking in all the scenery and the gameplay. It's almost like playing a new game all over again. One thing that I've incorporated into the season so far that I didn't originally plan to is soloing the story mode dungeons in Tyria. This has actually been incredibly challenging. Having only 1 or 2 trait trees available at a given time, and only a handful of unlocked skills, as well as being underleveled running solo as opposed to with 4 people and not having the full effect of my primary stats, has really been a hurdle that I've never tried to accomplish even on my main account. I've always just blasted through story mode dungeons with a full group of level 80s, so it's always come off as trivial content in my eyes. But running through it on the level it was designed for, trivial is not the word that I would use to describe this content. I am noticing huge improvements now, as I'm currently level 75 and have unlocked all available trait trees and utility skills, and am able to utilize 3 full trait trees since I've passed level 71. But even so, this content has really taught me a lot about the core mechanics of this game, and has also shown me how far Guild Wars 2 has come in combat details and mechanics over the years. Comparing these old school dungeons to the mechanics of 99cm and 100cm, which I run very regularly, is night and day in terms of details and functionality. It's been a real joy going through these bits of content, and I'll be uploading separate videos on these dungeon runs through Season 1 of the Tyrian Lightbringer. And that just about wraps up our progress and our experience so far. But what are my next steps? The first one on the list might be pretty obvious, but that is to hit level 80 and finish up the Tyrian storyline and take on our first Elder Dragon, Zhaitan. This goal will actually consist of 3 different objectives, which are hitting level 80, completing the story mode dungeons for Honor of the Waves and Crucible of Eternity, and then progressing onto the fight against Zhaitan. As the goal of this series is to take the story in order, including the fact that I've incorporated the story mode of dungeons up to this point, these story mode dungeons will be important to complete. After all, it is what gives the background on the split between the members of Destiny's Edge as well as the reunion, which we shall see in the final story step of Tyria's storyline. The story of getting Destiny's Edge back together as well as taking on Zhaitan with the Pact will join together in the final story instant, so it only makes sense to complete every story step in that order. And that's all I have for you today, guys. Season 1 is definitely making some progress, and with hitting level 80 soon, we'll be starting to train our Tyrian masteries, and we'll be getting access to some very good level 80 meta maps to farm, and a bunch of other new opportunities. Episode 3 is going to be a big milestone, so if you'd like to be a part of the journey, make sure to follow me over on Twitch. I stream multiple times a week, and my streaming schedule can be found on my Twitch channel, and the link to my Twitch channel can be found in this video's description. If you're not already, make sure to subscribe to me on YouTube and click the bell icon to receive notifications for whenever I post a new video. Thank you all so much for watching. This is Inspector Rayo signing off. Take care.